Hello. I think we're on. There's always a delay, so I never know when to start. Today, afternoon, morning, evening, whenever and wherever you're tuning into this video. I think we've started now, 4 seconds in, cool. Today I wanted to share it's not a new belief, it's been a recent belief from maybe, I don't know, the last 6 months, maybe more, 8 months. I came across this. And I've been stepping into it. It's been an amazing mindset shift to me. And as with any beliefs, it's a very challenging thing to constantly always be reminding myself of it or whoever of it as we're stepping into it, right? The belief is my life and all the outcomes within it are 100% my responsibility. Now, this is my belief that I've been practicing. I really want to create a video around it, and if you're watching any of my other videos that are not lives, you'd probably notice that they're articulated a little bit more elegantly than what I do when I'm live. And the simple reason is because, well, I practice them and I rehearse them, right? Usually I do this in private or in my own private Facebook group so no one else can see all my mistakes. And today I thought, you know what, I'm going to come and practice all these new topics and thoughts that I have, and I want to practice it with you guys for 2 reasons. See what you guys think, but also to ask for your permission. Is it all right if I come on and do this with you guys live and make the mistakes and lead by example a little bit? And it's not just for me. If that is cool for you guys, that I come on and I can lead by example and make the mistakes and fuck it all up and whatever happens, type in the comments, whether you're live or on replay, just comment, yes, that's cool, that's okay, come and fuck it up, do what you need to do, whatever way you want to write it, put it in there, because it's not just for me. I know there's other people within this group that are just waiting to come on, practice whatever thoughts they have, practice their lives, practice their recordings, and that also gives them validation as well. Look, thank you so much, Gina, for coming on and saying that. Awesome. So the belief is, and Alexia, so great to see you here as well. So the belief, my life and all the outcomes within it is actually, just before I get started, I want to ask you, what do you guys think of this? It's been a while since I've shaved and it's a bit itchy. I've been getting some influence to keep it growing, but I want to see what you guys think. I don't know, can you see it? It's kind of a little bit dirty, but if you think I should keep it, say yes. If no, say get rid of it. I'm not sure if majority will rule. It will come down to who's got the most influence. But let me know. Do I suit it? I'm not sure yet. So, continue. Around responsibility. My life and all the outcomes within it is 100% my responsibility. Now, of course, this is a belief. And it's a little bit of a daunting thing, isn't it? Alexia, go for it. Awesome, thank you. It's a bit of a daunting thing. It is really scary to say, well, I'm responsible for 100% of everything within my life and the outcomes. But on the other side of the coin, what if, and you can ask yourself, what if I acted as if this was true? What if I acted as if it was true? I love this saying, by the way, and it comes straight from NLP, Alexia. I apply this quite a lot. And what if it was all down to me? How empowering would that be? And I get that it's a bit of a touchy topic. I've mentioned this to a few people in the past, and I feel like they've come from a place of maybe victimhood. And they're saying, like, I feel like it comes, these people that don't gel so well with this idea is maybe they haven't experienced an empowered life yet, or they haven't felt empowered in their life up until this point yet. And so they come with the attitude of going, well, so what you're telling me that I created all this bad shit in my life, I made these things happen and it's all my fault. It's like, it's a rejection attitude of the whole idea to this belief that we could step into. So, if we can move past that, the other side is, well, what is in my realm of potential? What if everything in my life is my responsibility? What can I choose differently? What can I decide to care about? What can I stop tolerating? Can I ask different questions to create different choices and ultimately get different outcomes, right? What a far more resourceful reality that could be. Do you agree with me? Is that something that, if we acted as if this belief was true and we stepped into it, could it be that we could live a much more resourceful reality? Cause and effect, such a great model. Thank you, Alexa. It is great, and it directly relates to that, absolutely. So I suppose a caveat on this, and there is, not limitations, but it's kind of going, well, and going back to these people that are going, so what about that plane crash? What about that mega earthquake? How can I be responsible for that? Absolutely, it's not like I didn't manifest the wind, for example. That's not what this conversation's about. It's more about going, well, and on some level, maybe, if, depending on what your beliefs are, spirituality, maybe on some level we did, but it's really, it's not really not that resourceful thinking that way. How is that going to help us create reality? It's not so much about that. What it is about is going, all right, well, this is what's happened, and how can I choose to respond as a result? So for the wind example, and there's great analogies and there's great sayings around this. I can't remember them right in this moment. Something with setting your sails and pointing your sails in a direction or whatever. But it can't be responsible for the wind. But what we can be responsible is for the way we respond to it, right? So a little story, actually. I don't sail, but I love kite surfing, as probably many of you will know. And honestly, before I even knew all this, I can't even claim that I used this belief to get me to love kite surfing. But it was 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, I hate the wind. For a long time, I really didn't like the wind. And I did ask myself, how could I stop hating the wind? And, it wasn't about stopping hating the wind, but moving into some way of really loving the wind. That's where I took up kite surfing. And it was cool. I used to, I went from hating the wind to sitting at the window going, is the wind coming yet? I really want the wind. And it was so funny. Now we sit at the beach, and I used to love the beach. Before I loved kite surfing, I used to love the beach. We'd sit there and we'd drink beers and play the beach games and everything else, and absolutely love it. Now I go to the beach, and if there's no wind, I'm like, fuck, the day's ruined. And again, it's all about perspective. And, and I ask my friends this. I'm like, everyone's complaining about, oh, no wind. What are we going to do instead? And I say, remember, before we started kite surfing, what do we used to do? Did you love the beach? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, why can't we go back to that moment? So again, about choice, a little bit of a tangent, but, that's, I suppose, paints the picture of, it's not about what happens. It's about how we respond to it, right? So where was I? I guess this conversation is not about blame. It's not, because life will happen. Bad shit happens. Shit's going to happen. We can all acknowledge that. And pointing the finger and saying, taking responsibility is not about pointing the finger and going, you did that. You fucked up. It's not that. Instead, it's about taking responsibility for what happens next. Cool? I think, hopefully, does that make sense? Are you guys still on? If that makes sense, click yes, or ask a question, and I'm happy to further elaborate on that. So I guess the next question is, where do we start with this? What is it? And, I guess acting as if the belief was true. My life and all the outcomes within it is 100% my responsibility. And I suppose what I now do, I can't remember how I necessarily got started with this, but, even to this point, I still sometimes look back, it might be half an hour later, it might be a day later, it might be a week later. And there's been a few situations just recently that I look back and go, and it just comes to me and I think, I could have responded with a bit more forgiveness or some further kindness or generosity, or just not letting it bother me. And I hear people go, oh, it triggered me. That didn't trigger you. You triggered yourself. And taking responsibility for that and then allowing it to be a choice. And it's like that whole saying, you can choose to spend time choosing to be right, or you can choose your time being happy. I can't remember the saying. Sorry, I just can't remember. So, but at the end of the day, it's just the whole idea is it's a choice, right? There's another saying, actually, I think I got it written down here somewhere. It's like what Tony Robbins says. And here, I do have it written down. Again, this is why I need to practice. I'd love to remember this. An elegantly articulated, look what I'm doing. See, now I get to play with it. An elegantly articulated excuse becomes a high-level reason, but it's still an excuse. And of course, what we feel we can justify, we live with, and that which we can't, we will change. And I feel like that's such a powerful, powerful quote, because what this means is what we can explain away or justify or excuse, the less energy we'll put into that challenge, right? And really what we're doing is just emotionally numbing or drugging ourselves, if you like, into a sense of comfort with it being okay in our minds, that it can't be different. That's the story we tell ourselves. So I suppose to finish up this little rant, how long? It's been 10 minutes, a little bit longer than I anticipated. I'll ask you this. What if we dump the story? What would there be instead? And the story could be, I can't because whatever the story is. Yeah, I don't have enough money because blah, blah, blah. That's the story. Or, something that's come up in this poll that I've done. I can't remember what's leading the way. I don't have enough time. I can't because I don't have enough time. That's the story. Of course, we all have the same amount of time during the day. Some people are doing amazing things with their time. Other people are using their time in less efficient, less amazing ways. Again, it's a choice. So it could be, I would, but, or yes, however, whatever comes after that, that's your story. So what would you prefer? The story of why you can't, or developing a new story of how you could? Now, if you're still listening, replay that last bit. The story of why you can't, or developing a new story of how you could. Take that away, think about it, and I'd love to hear how you apply that in your life. Any examples, any feedback. As always, much appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in.